It's a question that has intrigued scientists for at least 60 years, since this 3-month-old was filmed learning to sit, then 3 months later to crawl, and at 9 months, take his first supported steps. The film was made by psychologist Myrtle McGraw, who in the 1930s did some startling experiments, like dunking a 2-week-old in a pool to see if he could swim. Luckily, he could. Her most famous experiment was with these twins, Jimmy on the left and Johnny on the right. Johnny was given some unusual opportunities. Introduced to roller skates at 13 months, he was soon an expert. Johnny's physical training continued as he grew older, and he outperformed his untrained twin on tests of physical strength and agility. But on the basics, sitting, crawling, walking, Johnny didn't develop any better or more quickly than Jimmy.
Why don't you bring Matthew in? And we want to...
Myrtle McGraw's research inspired generations of psychologists to try to find out how much of a baby's physical development is inborn and how much comes from on-the-job training.
There you go. And we're going to prime the pump a little bit here and see if we can give him the idea that he can bounce in this.
I recently visited one of these psychologists, Harvard's Gene Goldfield, on the day he was meeting 6-month-old Matthew.
Oops.
You're supposed to bounce, not fly.
They don't know what to do in this situation. There are no instructions. There is no instructor. And so what do? Well, you do whatever you have available. And what babies have available is that they can kick and look and listen and feel.
Bounce. Bounce. Now, Matthew certainly isn't genetically programmed to operate a baby bouncer.
And bounce.
And in this first encounter, he didn't discover its secret.
When you step off the edge of the earth like that, it's hard.
On her first try, 6-month-old Eve didn't get very far either. But by the time of my visit 10 days later...
Wait a minute, this is contagious. I like this, you're right.
Eve's feet and legs have now figured out for themselves exactly when and how hard to kick to get the bouncer bouncing. Eve herself is just having fun.
Clearly what she's doing is paying attention to the fact that something that she's doing is producing some effect. And it's very motivating.
She discovers video.
Eve's brain isn't figuring out the physics of the bouncer. It's just enjoying the result. Nor have her genes programmed her to bounce. What's happened is that her legs have discovered for themselves just what to do.
That's great, isn't it?
This idea that babies' bodies aren't rigidly pre-programmed, but have to learn for themselves, is at the core of Esther Thelen's research.
I hope the baby's in a good mood, Esther.
Yeah, I think she will be. Mom said that she's well rested and she's been fed, so she should be in pretty good shape.
Not many research laboratories are able to travel to the subjects they study rather than the other way around.
Hi. Fine. Come on out. How's the baby?
She's doing great.
Good. Let's take her out to the den.
All of Esther Thelen's research is designed to catch babies in the act of acquiring some new skill, and then to try and figure out how the babies did it.
So she's really not able to put both feet together.
Her newest research project is on how babies learn to control their kicking, while they're still getting used to the idea that they have legs.
Hi.
Hi.
Back in her lab at the University of Indiana, she's already spent several years exploring how babies begin to use their arms.
Ready?
Ready? Go.
Madeline.
Baby Madeline, only 3 months old, hasn't yet quite got the idea that arms can be used for reaching.
They can see the interest in their eyes. The problem is, how do they get their arms to do it? Here they have these 2 springy things hanging off of their shoulders, and their problem is how to get, first of all, just the right amount of muscle contraction to get their hands up, and then they have to also calibrate the space. They have to know where the object is.
What Esther wants to know is how the babies are doing all this, so that Catherine, for instance, only 5 weeks older than Madeline, now has reaching down to a fine art.
There you go. Good. You got it.
Esther videotapes the
Move
babies.
his arms, flap his arms up and down. He's waiting for the toy.
Then, from 2 different angles, she can follow exactly how the baby goes about reaching. In slow motion, 4-month-old Gabriel seems to be flailing around almost at random. Here's the route his hand takes before he finally gets the toy. But 7 months later, Gabriel reaches out confidently, and his hand moves smoothly to its goal.
Here it is.
So while all babies finish up reaching in the same way,
Good.
they each get there by their own often circuitous route, suggesting to Esther Thelen that how to reach isn't simply programmed in our genes,
Good girl.
and neither is walking.
When a baby takes his or her first step, it looks as though the behavior just suddenly appeared. But actually, the baby has been working on that problem for a year beforehand. So we want to start way before babies walk and try and track the components that go into walking.
He's very excited about it.
7-month-old Eli is still a long way from walking.
And see your legs.
But Esther wants to know if the muscles in his legs are already getting prepared.
I'm now putting on these little sensors that will pick up and amplify the very small electrical changes in his muscles as he contracts them. And this is really the same as having an EKG. If I put these, in fact, on his chest, I would get heartbeat. But I'm going to get muscle contraction, and these are the little amplifiers.
Good job, Eli.
Okay. Yeah.
So that a computer will be able to track exactly how his legs move. Eli is also fitted out with stick-on reflectors.
Here's your chance. Here's
Like
your
all
chance.
babies, when he was born, Eli would step when held upright,
Mama, tell me when
usually
you're ready.
assumed to be some sort of primitive reflex.
ready?
The
Okay.
behavior soon disappears.
Yeah. You're gonna walk?
But once Eli is placed on the treadmill,
Oh, yeah. Wow. Walker. What a big boy.
the stepping behavior comes back. So one key component of walking, stepping, does seem to be inborn.
Good stepping. I think it probably is built in to children from the start. And the stretch of the leg on the treadmill is enough to start that alternating process going.
Oh, look at you.
But there's more to walking than stepping, as 1-year-old Saber is finding out. When her weight is supported and she doesn't have to balance, she walks on the treadmill just fine.
Step right off that treadmill.
And when her walk is analyzed by computer, she has a steady rhythmic gait. The signals from her leg muscles show that they're smoothly coordinated as they produce each step.
Got the ball for you.
But now Saber has a tougher test. Her balance is still assisted by having her hang onto a cart. But this time, her legs have to hold her up as well as walk along. And now her gait is much more clumsy. What's more, her leg muscles have lost their regular rhythm.
Get mommy. Then we'll go home and see John and Kristen, okay?
Finally, Saber is on her own. Having to both bear her weight and to balance overwhelms the neatly organized stepping action she could make when supported.
Very small steps.
Esther Thelen and her colleagues are just beginning to figure out what's going on as a baby learns to walk.
Flat on the ground.
But already it's clear that while stepping may be built in, babies' legs have to figure out for themselves how to stand and balance before they can rediscover the skill they were born with.
Good job.